Hi, my name is Eunice Njeri. This is Hustle Zetu. We are at the Vic Mark Hotel, the cradle of comfort. Vic Mark Hotel is right in the middle of Nakuru City, and we have amazing conference facilities. We have a restaurant, we have accommodation, and a rooftop lounge for all that you may need when you are visiting, or if you're a resident in Nakuru City, you would walk in here, have your lunch, and just head back to the office. So today we are going to be discussing something called answering a divine call, and I'm delighted to be hosting a lady who is doing quite an amazing work in Nakuru City, and I will let her do the honor of introducing herself. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. My name is Nancy Ndegwa. My brand name is Mama Street.
Wow.
I'm born and raised in Nakuru, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Wow. So you do quite an amazing thing, you know, the street children. How did you get this call, and when was it, and how did you begin to answer this call?
I got the calling in December 2021 in form of a dream.
Okay.
I was not in Nakuru at that time.
Wow.
I was in Nairobi at a friend's place. And it came in form of a dream, and I was given very clear instructions that I should come back to Nakuru and save my generation.
Wow.
Because if the largest number of the people living in the streets are the youths, or rather the youths connected to the streets. So the calling was in form of a dream, and I could see children crying. And I could hear the voice very vividly telling me that this is the season to help the street children.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That is quite good. Actually, there's something I noticed when I first came to Nakuru, and that was in 2014. I think I had not seen so many street children any other place in the towns that I had the privilege to live in. But anyway, that's just a by the way. So how did you start now after the call? How are you able to start now the initiative?
I came back to Nakuru on December, and the first place I came back, I went, and the first person I told it was my mother. It didn't sound so good that somebody will want to interact with the street connected people. So I decided to search out for a venue of where to feed the children. But remember, I didn't have enough money. In fact, I didn't have money because previous months, around 3 months, I was not working. I had lost my job. So when I came back and I decided to look out for a venue on where to feed out the street children, that's where God connected me to some people who connected me to the children. And after that, I had planned to feed 50, but when I came to the ground, things were quite different. And I realized there are more than 500, and I had to budget for 500 children. So I decided to go for prayers at a certain prayer mountain. And when I came back, God connected me to one person who helped and sustained the whole event.
Wow, wow. So many people actually struggle with a call, like you had a dream and you took action. Was that an immediate thing that happened?
It was very immediate because I believe a calling needs obedience, and a calling needs a lot of faith, because it's beyond your finances, beyond your age, and beyond your reasoning.
It is true.
So when I came back and the person connected, when I came after prayers, and the person decided to fund the whole event. After that is when I decided to bring along those people who had attended the first event so that we can register a community-based organization.
Okay.
Because I saw these are people with the passion and the drive to do what I'm doing.
All right.
But it was after them pushing me, Nancy, I think we need to register this thing. It might end up being something big.
Wow. So you registered as a community-based organization by the name?
Yes, we registered a community-based organization on March 18th as Ria's Hand of Love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how would you kindly tell us about your feeding program? Like, what do you give these children, and maybe a few challenges you've encountered so far?
So we have three major projects that we are currently doing. I call them outreaches because these are things that involve the community. We feed them every Monday to Friday. We have something called Uji Forum at exactly 10 to 11. We also have football every Saturday at Bondeni Primary School, that is Okoa Watoto na football. And every Sunday we have Ibada Mtaani, 1 hour of spiritual nourishment at Railways, and then 1 hour of feeding. So some of the challenges are it's the food, because currently we do not have permanent donors who can sustain our feeding programs. So sometimes it's strenuous, especially for the sugar and the rice. Most people provide the cereals, but because rice is quite expensive and the sugar, we end up having some strains. So I think those are some of the challenges, and also enough manpower to feed these children during the outreaches so that they can be law and order. But so far so good.
So this manpower that you do want, because in when you're feeding these children, do you have like what age groups do you like work with or feed? What category in terms of age do you work with?
For me, I work with the street connected people. That means that's an adult, that's a youth, that's a child. I feed everyone.
Street connected and street dwellers, somebody living. What's the difference between that?
Street connected people, in the streets we have two categories of people. There are those who are day scholars. Circumstances have forced them to end up in the streets during the daytime, and then in the evening you'll find them going back home. And there are those who are living the streets full time. They sleep on the streets, they live in the streets, all their day-to-day activities is in the streets. But for our outreaches is for a street connected person. A street connected person is someone who is likely to end up in the streets. They don't have food, so he comes during the day to find food in the streets or in town. That's a street connected person. A person who lives in the street, that's also a street connected person, as long as this person's life evolves around the street.
Now, you know Kenyans have very funny habits. How are you able to control, because it sounds a little bit funny knowing who Kenyans can be. People really take advantage of situations or programs such as yours. How are you able to deal with these people who maybe mtu akisikia njaa leo naenda kukula kwa kwa mama street?
So for us, I can tell you, I can identify the new people in all my programs, because we do have I'll call it a register, where we mark, because we know these are the people we normally feed. So in case a new person pops up, we'll be able to identify the person. The person has to give us his phone number and their ID number, and we'll have to do some follow-up. Because where we do the feeding, it's around some garage. We might end up feeding all the garage people around that area. So we have to be very strict, and we have to be very they have to know the rules and policies around that place, that this food is for someone who is a street connected person, someone who genuinely does not have food.
So you said you take their numbers and maybe their ID numbers, or you're able to follow up now with the local chiefs? Or how do you ascertain for sure that this person is a street connected person?
In the streets, there is also some leadership beyond the chief and other the chief and other protocols. There's the street leadership where each base, because they have some bases, they don't sleep in the same area. We have the base commanders. The base commanders are the ones who call you, Nancy, there's a new child who has come from Gilgil, who has come from Nyahururu, Eldoret, and here and so and so. So we're able to identify there's a new person in that place. And the base commanders can identify this is a street person, this is a reformed street person, this is someone who was in the streets and has left, and this is someone who does not live in the street. So they are my leaders. Security tight when you're there, they take control and ensure everything moves on well.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty well coordinated system in the streets. And we look at them and we think, you'll be marked, kumbe kuna system in a run kwa ground. Now, what now happens after, let's say you have fed a child and they're 18 and now they want to get into the hustle now? How do they exit assuming you started, okay, you've not done this for quite some time, but how do you feed as 15-year-old, they get to 18 and now they need to be able to hustle for themselves?
With my experience for the 1 year, 5 months, we have some projects or programs that we introduce in between. We don't only do the feeding, but we also do family strengthening, and we also do family empowerment. In the point of that, this child needs to go back home. This child, when a child needs to go back home, or rather goes back to school, there is some case assessment that is done. And you have to assess and reassess. And after reassessment is when you reintegrate the child back to the society, after counseling also the family, because you don't know what brought the child from home, so that this child can be able to be accepted back at home, and also the family can accept the child with a lot of love. And for them to move into the hustle yet, and so that they can start hustling, it has to be with a lot of discipline, and they have to undergo some counseling sessions to be able to know that this person is mentally stable. And also for us, before we empower a child to work, not a child, but somebody who is 18 and above, we have to ensure that their mental health is okay, and they will be able to sustain their lifestyle. Because once we have a lot of relapse in the streets, where you end up facilitating so many to move off the streets, but you have not shown them how to sustain their own lifestyle. You in instances where you pay for them house rents, and you set up businesses for them, but after a month the business has collapsed. That is because this person was not taught on how to sustain his own lifestyle. So we do a lot of follow-ups on each individually. We do a lot of follow-up. Our social workers are really trying their level best to follow up on the lifestyles of this person before we empower this person, because we don't want to invest in a place where we know it cannot give birth to anything.
Now you just came in from a feeding session.
Yes.
How does your day begin up to the day, up to that time where now you've done the major task of the Monday to Friday? Kindly take us through that in maybe 2 minutes.
In a normal day, from Monday to Friday, normally I won't lie, I normally attend all UJI forums. Mostly Monday to Fridays are for meetings. And so normally my day starts at 8 a.m. That's when I'm normally in the office. At exactly 8 a.m. you'll find me in the office. We normally have some morning prayers with my office staff, and then after that we have a meeting from around 8:10 to 8:45, and then from there, if I have some cases and things to handle, I handle them. In case I have outside meetings, I will leave for the outside meetings, and then I'll be back at exactly 2. I normally, it's very difficult for, normally I don't have meetings in the afternoon. So in the afternoon, I work on the case assessments that our counselors have worked on. I check on the reports and also try to do some donor mapping and see if we can get some donor grants online. But in the case where I'm attending UJI forum, I arrive the same at 8 in the office, but at exactly 10 I leave for railways to see how the UJI forum is moving on.
So you already now have like cooks cooking the UJI and all that, eh?
Yeah, we have a chef. Her name is Lucy, and Oti. They take care of all our meals. That is the Madam Tani's meal and the UJI forum. And at exactly 10, the food is picked and taken to railways. They serve. The children are so disciplined, they wash their own utensils, and then the utensils come back when they are so clean.
Wow, that is really, really good. So do you get any help from well-wishers here in Nakuru town?
Yes, Nakuru town
like
has...
daily people would say, niko na 200 leo nataka kusupport, or maybe pay a cab for you or something.
Daily I'll be lying. Daily we don't have, we have not yet gotten to that point where we have daily donors. But I would love to appreciate, there are 2 major clubs, Lions Club and Walmart supermarket.
Wow.
They have really supported my ministry. And I think those are the people who have embraced me in Nakuru, and also the Nakuru County government, especially the Social Services Department led by Honorable Josephine Achieng. Thank you so much. They have really supported my ministry.
Okay. Wow, this is end of part 1 of our conversation on answering a divine call, and we have been talking to Nancy Ndegwa. She runs a ministry in Nakuru, Feeding the Street Kids, and her brand name is Mama Street. You can look her up on Facebook and be able to even give something towards her very worthy cause. So we will be right back with part 2 of this conversation. My name is Eunice Njeri, and this is Hustles Zetu. Let your light shine in the marketplace.